our Toastmaster, Fatima Al Attar, who will be doing an interpretive reading, and she will lure you in with a passage from her book, where you will be suddenly in the depths of the forest. May I please call upon Toastmaster Fatima Al Attar.
The village was grey and gloomy. Around it on all sides were mountains and forests, winds and clouds. There were no other villages nearby. Visitors almost never came to the village, and passerbys never stopped by. 30 or 40 houses were scattered upon the slopes of the valley, enclosed by towering mountains. The one pass through the mountains was on the west side, and the only road to the village was through that pass. But it didn't go any further, because there was no further. The world ended there. Once in a while, a traveling tradesman, or a peddler, or sometimes just a beggar who had lost his way, would come across the village. But no wanderer ever stayed longer than 2 days, because the village was cursed. It was always eerily silent. No cows mooed, no donkey brayed, no bird chirped, no flock of wild geese crossed the empty skies, and the villagers, they barely spoke to one another, beyond the essential things. Only the sound of the river could be heard constantly, day and night, because a powerful river rushed through the mountain forests. It passed through the village, white foam on its banks, frothing, seething, and bubbling with a lower roar, until it was swallowed up again in the bends of the valley and forest. At night, the silence was even blacker and thicker than it was in daytime. No dog stretched his neck and flattened his ears to howl at the moon. No fox whined in the forest. No night bird shrieked. No cricket chirped. No frog croaked. No rooster crowed at dawn. All the animals had disappeared from the village and its surroundings. No horses and cows and sheep, geese and cat and nightingales, dogs and spiders and rabbits. There wasn't even a small goldfish. Not a fish was left in the river. Storks and cranes bypassed the narrow valley on their journeys of migration. Even bugs, reptiles, bees, flies, ants, worms, mosquitoes, moths hadn't been seen for many years. The grown-ups who remembered usually chose to stay silent, to deny, to pretend they'd forgotten. Years ago, 7 hunters and 4 fishermen had lived in the village. But when the river emptied, when all the wild animals drifted away, the fishermen and the hunters left too, and went to places that were untouched by the curse. Only one fisherman, who keeps to himself, remained. Alman is his name. He lives in a small cabin near the river and holds long, angry conversations with himself while he cooks potato stew for himself. Even now, the people of the village still call him Alman the fisherman, though he has changed from fisherman to farmer many years ago. During the day, Alman grows vegetables and edible roots from beds of crumbling soil. He cultivates 20 to 30 trees on the slopes of a hill. He even put up a small scarecrow in his vegetable patch because he believed that one day the birds and animals might return. Sometimes Alman has long, angry arguments with the scarecrow too, pleading with it, scolding it, giving up on it completely. Then he returns with an old chair, sits down in front of it, and tries endlessly with patience to win it over, or at least persuade it to change its stubborn opinions, if only a little. Towards the evening, on clear days, Alman the fisherman usually sits on his chair by the riverbanks, putting on old glasses that slide down all the way to his gray mustache. He reads books, or sometimes writes and rubs out what he writes. Mutters to himself in all sorts of arguments and opinions and reasons. And with the passing year, he has learned, by the light of his night lamp, to carve bits of wood into many beautiful shapes of animals and birds, and also unknown creatures that he only saw in his imagination. Alman gives those carved wood creatures to the village children as gifts. Matty got a pine-cone cat with kittens. Nimi got a carved squirrel. And as for Maya, Alman made her 2 long-necked cranes with wings spread out, outstretched in flight. It was only from those small carvings and the pictures that their teacher Emanuela drew on the blackboard that the children knew what the shape of a dog was, what a cat looked like, or a butterfly, or a fish, a chick, a kid, and a calf. Emanuela taught some of the children how to imitate sounds of animals, sounds that the village surely remembered from their childhood. Before the animals disappeared, but the children have never heard in their lives. Maya and Matty almost knew something very forbidden to know. They knew, or almost knew. Sometimes they met secretly by an abandoned hayloft where they would sit and whisper for 15 minutes before they left, both parting different ways. Of all the grown-ups in the village, there was perhaps only one they could trust, or couldn't. Several times Matty and Maya had almost decided to tell their secrets to Daniel the roofer, who in the evening would sometimes joke loudly with his friends in the village square about things children were forbidden to know. And when he drank, he was known to joke about a horse, a goat, a dog, that he was thinking of bringing from one of the village up further the valley. What would happen if they told Daniel the roofer, they thought? Or maybe they should tell old Alman instead. What if one day they dared to go a little way into the darkness of the forest to find out if their secret was real or an illusion? Thank you.